Hi guys, I am here with a true story from our book When God Winks at You, the new one I got for us from Guidepost. I actually got two new ones for us. The other one, when we're done with this one, is called When God Makes Lemonade. Really pretty book. It's got lemonades all over the front of it. I love lemonade. This is what this one looks like. These are beautiful true stories. We read one the other day about how this book got published, actually. All the coincidences it took for the book to get published. And it, had to do with Oprah Winfrey. This one is called, that one was called, The Little Book That Could, I believe. This one is called Walk of Fame Wink. Okay. The heck? The computer just came on. What in the world? Alright, so let's begin here. It's hard to tell where these stories stop and go into the other, because they're not like separated by chapters. Sorry, I had my clipboard on my keyboard and it was going crazy with the password there. Okay. Fred Travalena is an incredible impersonist. He conducts a conversation between 9 presidents with voices from JFK to George W. that makes your head spin. He also sings like Tony Bennett and Frank Sinatra. You'd swear they were right there on stage. The time Fred wished he could truly be somebody else was when he found out that a tennis ball size lymphoma had formed in his abdomen. Cancer. Every conceivable thought rushed into his mind. Why me? What will this do to my career? How long is it going to take us to lick it, God? He knew he had to focus on the finish line. That's why, as he commenced treatment on June 5th, 2002, it resonated with him when the nurse holding his chart said, "You're going to love this day." I write down NED. What's that? No evidence of disease. That's how Fred made it through weeks of chemo that sapped his strength and stole his hair. He and his wife Lois kept God on the line, entering into prayer more times a day than ever before, riveting their positive attention on total healing. 7 months along his road to recovery, a writer called and said he wanted to do a magazine story. Fred wrestled with wondering if publicity of his cancer would harm his ability to secure work in the future. You never know why a talent booker might turn you down. But then he wanted to help others who might find themselves in his shoes. So he decided he'd give the interview. Months went by. Nothing happened with the story. Apparently no magazine had picked it up, and it drifted from memory. Fred continued to make what his doctors called remarkable progress. His daily regimen of prayer and nutrition to augment medical science was working. On June 5th, 2003, 1 year to the day that he had started his fight, he had the doctor's appointment. The nurse smiled as she pointed to the 3 letters on Fred's chart, NED. No evidence of disease. You can't imagine the elation I felt, said Fred. The first call I made was to the man upstairs. I said, "Thank you, God." On the way home, he received a call, a God wink, at a magazine stand. There in the National Enquirer magazine was Fred's story, published exactly 1 year to the day that he'd begun his victorious battle against cancer. That was a real booster from the Lord, said Fred, still concealing those moments when he'd secretly wondered if he was going to survive. That God wink gave me hope. There are times in life when we get a double whammy we just can't explain. 3 months later, Fred was diagnosed with another cancer. It happens a lot, guys. More than you would ever imagine. I've been through so many cancers in my family. Most people in my family that have passed away has passed away with cancer. Either that or their heart. He was diagnosed 3 months later with prostate cancer. He immediately underwent surgery while Lois reactivated the prayer chains. Twice, Fred Travalena faced the battle of cancer. Twice, he was the victor. Being out of circulation for any length of time in the entertainment business, where dates are booked many months in advance, can cripple career momentum. At a family gathering in spring 2004, Fred's 2 sons were kicking around ideas to help their dad revive his entertainment schedule. Freddie Jr. had a wild idea. "Hey, Dad, why don't you get a star on Hollywood Boulevard?" "Oh, sure," said Fred, just like that. His son shrugged and smiled. "Why not?" he said softly. It was a big idea, thought Fred. Only a couple of thousand people had ever been given that honor. Such a thing would let people know he was back in great shape. "Just thought I'd throw it out there," continued Freddie Jr. "Tell you what," said Fred. "I'll make one call to Johnny Grant, the honorary mayor of Hollywood, to find out what it takes." He was surprised Johnny Grant came right on the line. Fred asked his question. "How does someone get nominated for a star on the Walk of Fame?" "Your timing is impeccable," bubbled Johnny over the phone. "I'm just going in to our annual nomination meeting. If you'd called 15 minutes later, you'd be too late. You have to wait till next year," he laughed. Fred hung up the phone. Converting his face into Goober from the Andy Griffith Show, he said, "Hey, maybe we got a shot." In June 2004, 2 years after Fred had faced and conquered cancer with God's help and excellent doctors, twice he once again stopped at a newsstand. This time he picked up a newspaper to find this joyous news. Fred Travalena was to be one of the celebrities honored with a star on the Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame the following February 3rd, star number 2277. Fred and Lois reflect that their faith has grown stronger, and they know that God will use Fred's experience in overcoming cancer to help others come to the Lord. Moreover, with clarity of insight, they see that God wink of the National Enquirer story happening 1 year to the day of his commencement of treatment, and the God wink of making the phone call about the star on the Hollywood Boulevard exactly 1 year after that, within 15 minutes of the key person going into a nomination meeting, were extraordinary messages of hope and reassurance from the Almighty. Not just coincidence, was it? That Fred Travalena will be around for a long time. Count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that testing of your faith produces patience. James 1, verses 2 and 3. Catching hope. Hope is a powerful force in life. It's like going into the kitchen, turning on the faucet, and being surprised by the water pressure. You almost jump back, giddy that there's so much energy pouring out. Your hope is stored up inside and wants to burst out of you the same way. You need to turn on the faucet of your faith and then feel the surge of hope that springs forth. If you are fully hopeful, you'll cause other people around you to almost jump happily, splashed with your enthusiasm, reinforced by the wonderful God winks that happen to you. Hope is contagious. Go ahead, spread it around. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Good night, guys.